Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, I want to go back to some question very briefly that Mr. Lamborn was giving you, and I don't think we got an answer. Just yes or no, will you cooperate with IG on this investigation about the disparity between your report and what the engineer said in theirs?
Congressman Brown, we have nothing to hide, and I'm willing to cooperate with anybody. I'm not aware of an...
So is that a yes?
The answer is yes. We'll cooperate with anybody.
I appreciate it. Just in the sake of time, I apologize for cutting you off. I couldn't agree more with President Clinton's assessment last week that our priorities must be to fix the leak, keep the oil away from the shore, minimize the damage to the oil that reaches the shore, and find out who did what wrong and hold them accountable. But we do need to do the first three first. And let us never forget that the victims who must be made whole from this tragedy, and we cannot legislate, in my opinion, until we accomplish these priorities and discover what went wrong in the first place. Now is one time when this administration might want to put politics aside and let a serious crisis actually go to waste. I'd like to bring to the attention of this committee two letters that I sent to the administration last week, Mr. Chairman, in my capacity as ranking member of the House Committee on Science and Technology, Subcommittee on Investigations and Oversight, outlining a troubling pattern of politically motivated actions from this administration in dealing with the Gulf oil spill and demanding scientific integrity moving forward. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask unanimous consent that two letters I've sent to the President and to Secretary Salazar be entered into the record. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In my letter to the President, I asked that additional members with broad technical expertise be added to the newly created National Commission on the BP Deepwater Horizon oil spill and offshore drilling. Currently, only 2 scientists or engineers sit on that commission. I also requested that the commission report to Congress, not just to the White House. Before pursuing legislative fixes, it might make more sense to wait until this commission and other investigations taking place finish their work. In my second letter, which I sent to you, Mr. Secretary, I discussed the Department of Interior's recently produced report titled Increased Safety Measures for Energy Development on Outer Continental Shelf. As you're aware, the findings of this report were used to justify an offshore drilling moratorium in the Gulf. However, shortly after the report was released, we discovered that the administration had manipulated the findings of 6 of the 8 peer reviewers from the National Academy of Engineering. The misrepresentation of the peer reviewers' recommendations in order to justify an offshore drilling moratorium presents troublesome patterns of how this administration views the role of science and technology relating to this disaster. This is not the first time that this administration's scientific integrity has been questioned. In addition, it appears that these politically motivated actions have become a bad habit with how the administration has dealt with the Gulf oil spill. The administration's misdirected focus during this crisis reeks of political opportunism. Mr. Secretary, the letter I sent you outlined previously defined principles of scientific integrity and raised many of the concerns I just mentioned. Can you please share with me the methods used to produce this report?
Congressman Brown, I'm happy to respond to those questions. And let me say 3 points. First, in terms of timing relative to legislative action and the ongoing crisis at the Gulf Coast, we can walk and chew gum at the same time. We can deal with containing this spill and killing this well and protecting the great assets of the Gulf Coast. But we can also move forward with ideas like some of the ideas which Chairman Ray Hall and others have championed in this committee in terms of a reform agenda. It was September, I believe, 19th of last year when I appeared before this committee. And one of the subjects that was dealt with at that point in time was an organic act for what was then known as the MMS. So these are issues that have been in the hopper for a long time, and they're issues which I believe can be dealt with and should be dealt with now. And I also believe that the sooner that we deal with these issues in terms of a legislative framework and providing the resources that are needed to be able to do the enforcement and the inspections required, will allow us to get to what many of you want to get to sooner, and that is to have an OCS program that can move forward safely and protective of the environment. Secondly, with respect to your statement on misrepresentation, let me just say, with all due respect, Congressman Brown, you're wrong. There's nothing of the nature as you speak. The letter, as I have testified in this committee, that I wrote to the President said that we were submitting a set of safety recommendations. Those safety recommendations are part of what has guided our efforts with respect to the notice to lessees. It's beginning to move forward with respect to a new safety regime in the Outer Continental Shelf. I also, in that letter, said I was recommending that we move forward with a moratorium. And I believe the moratorium was right then. I believe the moratorium is right today because we need to learn the lessons. And right now, I won't repeat what I've already said, but there are a number of issues that need to be addressed at this point.
Mr. Secretary, I certainly hope you can walk and chew gum at the same time, and I trust that you can. I respectfully disagree with you on the moratorium and from a scientific basis. And I would also ask that a detailed response to my letter that I've just mentioned be provided in writing in a timely manner and include all the documents and draft related to the report. I would remind you that your department and the administration must comply promptly with congressional requests from a member of Congress, especially one who sits on two committees with jurisdiction over your department. And as far as your final comment, I think a lot of the American people believe that the decisions made just reek of a political agenda and not a scientifically driven agenda. I believe very firmly that policy cannot be made by science, but science can drive policy, and I hope that we can have scientific integrity, and I look forward to your response, Mr. Secretary. Thank you so much.
Gentleman's time expired. Gentleman from Massachusetts, Mr. Markey, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr.